It started with a whisper, a tiny, insidious tremor beneath the surface of what I thought was an unshakable foundation. A foundation built on years, decades even, of shared secrets, late-night talks, scraped knees, and dreams whispered into the darkness of sleepovers. Sarah was more than a best friend. She was my sister, the person who knew me better than anyone, the one who saw the flickering light of an idea in my eyes before it even fully formed in my mind. She was supposed to be my confidant, my biggest cheerleader, the one person I could trust with my most fragile hopes and ambitious aspirations. And then, she wasn't. She became the thief, the betrayer, the architect of a wound so deep it still aches to this very day. A wound that fundamentally altered my perception of trust, of friendship, of loyalty itself. I still remember the exact moment, the precise second. The world tilted on its axis and everything I knew to be true shattered into a million irreparable pieces. It wasn't a sudden explosion. No, it was a slow-motion car crash. A realization that dawned with the chilling clarity of a winter morning. I was scrolling through my social media feed, minding my own business, perhaps looking for some inspiration, some distraction from the mundane tasks of my day, when a sponsored ad popped up, a vibrant, eye-catching image, a catchy tagline, a concept that instantly made my stomach drop and my blood run cold. It was my concept, my baby, my dream, meticulously nurtured and painstakingly developed over countless sleepless nights and caffeine-fueled days. And there it was, presented to the world, not by me, but by her. By Sarah. The name of the business, the aesthetic, the unique selling proposition, even some of the specific phrases in the ad copy. It was all disturbingly, sickeningly familiar. It was like looking at my own reflection, distorted and stolen, staring back at me from a stranger's face. My heart pounded in my chest, a frantic drumbeat of disbelief and dawning horror. My fingers trembled as I clicked through, needing to see more, desperately hoping for some mistake, some wild coincidence, some logical explanation that would dispel the icy grip of dread tightening around my throat. But there was none. Every page I clicked, every detail I uncovered, every glowing testimonial from early adopters, only served to reinforce the horrifying truth. Sarah had taken my business idea, my painstakingly crafted vision, and presented it as her own. She had not only stolen it, but she had also launched it, built it, and was actively promoting it, claiming every ounce of credit, every shred of ingenuity, every spark of inspiration as solely hers. The initial shock was so profound, so visceral, that it felt like a physical blow. My breath hitched in my throat. The room spun. I remember gripping the edge of my desk, knuckles white, trying to steady myself, trying to process the enormity of what I was seeing. It wasn't just a betrayal. It was an annihilation of trust, a desecration of a sacred bond. How could someone I loved, someone I had shared so much with, someone I had confided my deepest vulnerabilities and most ambitious aspirations to, do something so utterly heinous? The questions swirled in my mind like a chaotic storm, each one more painful than the last. Why? How? When did this happen? Had she been planning this all along? Was our friendship nothing more than a convenient facade for her opportunistic greed? The tears came then, not a gentle trickle, but a torrent, hot and stinging, blurring my vision as I stared at her smiling face on the About Us page of her my brand new, business website. A website that should have been mine. A business that should have been mine. The pain was excruciating, a raw, burning ache in my chest that spread throughout my entire being. It wasn't just the loss of the business idea, though that in itself was a devastating blow to my entrepreneurial spirit and financial future. No, it was the obliteration of a friendship, the shattering of an identity, the brutal realization that the person I thought I knew, the person I had loved and trusted implicitly, was a stranger, a deceitful, envious opportunist disguised as a loyal companion. This was not just a story of a stolen idea. This was a tragedy of trust, a testament to the venomous power of envy, and a cautionary tale about the fragile nature of even the most deeply rooted human connections. And as I sit here today, recounting this agonizing chapter of my life, I want to delve into every detail, every whisper of doubt, every moment of shared dreams, to truly understand how such a profound betrayal could ever come to pass. So settle in, because this is the story of how my best friend stole my business idea and claimed it was hers. And believe me, it's a story far more complex, far more painful, and far more revealing than you could ever imagine. To truly grasp the magnitude of this betrayal, you need to understand the foundation upon which my friendship with Sarah was built. We weren't just friends. We were an institution. We met in kindergarten, two shy little girls clinging to each other on the first day, finding comfort and courage in each other's presence amidst a sea of unfamiliar faces. From that moment on, we were inseparable. Our childhoods were intertwined like two strands of DNA, a beautiful, intricate helix of shared experiences. We built forts in our backyards, pretending they were castles where we ruled over imaginary kingdoms. We spent countless summer afternoons splashing in kiddie pools, giggling as we plotted our futures that always included each other. Our parents became friends, our families merged into a larger, extended unit. Holidays were spent together, birthdays were celebrated with joint parties, and even family vacations sometimes saw us crammed into the back seat of a minivan, singing along to the radio, our dreams as big and boundless as the open road ahead. As we navigated the tumultuous waters of adolescence, our bond only deepened. We survived middle school together, deciphering the arcane rules of popularity, sharing whispered secrets about crushes, and lending each other moral support through awkward phases and inevitable heartbreaks. High school brought its own set of challenges, but we faced them as a united front. We studied for exams side by side, commiserated over bad grades, celebrated triumphs, and navigated the choppy seas of first loves and inevitable disappointments. Sarah was the one I called when I got my first period, the one I cried to after my first breakup, the one who held my hand when I was nervous about my college interviews. She knew my deepest fears, my most embarrassing moments, my wildest dreams. I knew hers too. We were each other's anchors, our unwavering constants in a world that often felt chaotic and unpredictable. We had a secret language of inside jokes, a shared history of knowing glances, a comfortable silence that spoke volumes. Our friendship was a tapestry woven with threads of loyalty, understanding, and an unspoken promise to always be there for each other, no matter what. Even when we chose different paths for college, the distance did little to diminish our connection. We made weekly video calls a ritual, sharing the highs and lows of our new lives, offering advice, and reminding each other of the enduring strength of our bond. We visited whenever we could, making the long drives or booking cheap flights, just to spend a weekend catching up, laughing, and reminiscing about the good old days while simultaneously dreaming of the good days yet to come. After graduation, we both ended up back in our hometown, drawn by the familiar comfort of family and the magnetic pull of our lifelong friendship. We rented apartments close to each other, our lives once again aligning in a way that felt destined. We were navigating the complexities of young adulthood together, figuring out careers, relationships, and the often daunting task of building a life. We were each other's sounding boards, our personal therapists, our unwavering cheerleaders. If I had a bad day at work, Sarah was the first person I'd call. If she had a success, I'd be the first to pop open a bottle of sparkling cider in celebration. Our bond was, in my mind, unbreakable. It was the kind of friendship people wrote books about, the kind of connection that defined a lifetime. And this deep, profound trust, this history of unwavering support, is precisely what makes the betrayal so incomprehensible, so utterly soul-crushing. I shared everything with Sarah. My hopes, my fears, my insecurities, my wildest ambitions. She was the repository of my dreams, the safe harbor where I could lay bare my innermost thoughts without fear of judgment. This context is crucial because it wasn't just a casual acquaintance who stole an idea. It was the person who held a key to my very essence, the one who had witnessed every step of my journey, every flicker of inspiration, every moment of doubt and triumph. She was woven into the fabric of my being, and in taking my idea, she ripped a gaping hole in that fabric, leaving me exposed, vulnerable, and utterly bereft. The pain wasn't just intellectual or financial. It was existential. It was a betrayal of the deepest kind, a violation of a sacred trust that I believed transcended all other considerations. This wasn't merely about a business. It was about the destruction of a friendship that had shaped my entire life. The seed of the idea, the business concept that would eventually become the source of so much joy and then so much agony, began to sprout slowly, organically in my mind. I had always been passionate about sustainable living, about finding innovative ways to reduce waste and promote conscious consumption. It wasn't just a hobby. It was a deeply held conviction, a core value that guided many of my daily choices. I spent hours researching, reading articles, watching documentaries, constantly seeking out new information and ways to make a positive impact on the environment. One evening, after a particularly frustrating attempt to find truly eco-friendly and affordable alternatives for common household products, it hit me. A spark, a flash of insight, the aha moment that every aspiring entrepreneur dreams of. The problem, as I saw it, was accessibility. Many people wanted to live more sustainably, but they were overwhelmed by the sheer volume of information, the often exorbitant prices of niche eco-products, and the difficulty of finding reliable, genuinely green options. There was a gap in the market, a need for a curated, accessible, and affordable solution. My idea was to create a subscription box service, but not just any subscription box. This would be different. It would be a zero-waste starter kit for everyday life. Each month, subscribers would receive a carefully selected assortment of high-quality, genuinely sustainable, and ethically sourced products, along with educational materials on how to incorporate them into their routines. Think reusable produce bags, solid shampoo bars, bamboo toothbrushes, natural cleaning concentrates, and comprehensive guides on composting, recycling, and reducing plastic consumption. But the real innovation, the core of my concept, was the tier system and the personalized approach. Instead of a one-size-fits-all box, subscribers would fill out a detailed questionnaire about their current lifestyle, their existing sustainable practices, and their specific needs and interests. Based on their responses, they would be placed into one of three tiers: beginner, intermediate, or advanced. The beginner box would focus on simple swaps and fundamental knowledge, gently guiding them into a more sustainable lifestyle. The intermediate box would introduce more advanced concepts and products, building on their existing efforts. And the advanced box would cater to those already committed, offering cutting-edge sustainable innovations and deeper dives into complex environmental issues. This personalization, this tailored approach to sustainability, was what I believed would truly set my business apart. It addressed the common pain points of overwhelm and expense, making sustainable living feel achievable and exciting, rather than daunting and exclusive. I was ecstatic. The idea buzzed in my brain, keeping me awake at night, filling my days with a newfound sense of purpose. I started sketching out business plans, researching suppliers, designing potential packaging, and even brainstorming names for the service. I envisioned a community platform where subscribers could share tips, ask questions, and celebrate their eco-wins. I saw it as more than just a business. It was a movement, a way to empower people to make a tangible difference, one sustainable swap at a time. The passion was palpable, a fire ignited within me, driving me forward with an almost obsessive energy. I spent every spare moment, every lunch break, every evening after work, meticulously refining the concept. I created detailed spreadsheets outlining potential costs, revenue projections, and marketing strategies. I drafted surveys to gauge interest from potential customers. I even started designing a logo, a simple, elegant leaf within a circular arrow, symbolizing growth and renewal. This wasn't just a fleeting thought. This was months of dedicated, intense work. I poured my heart and soul into every detail, every nuance, every potential challenge and solution. I envisioned the website, the social media campaigns, the unboxing experience. I dreamt of the positive impact it would have, not just on people's lives, but on the planet itself. This business wasn't just a means to an end. It was an extension of my values, a manifestation of my deepest convictions. It was a project that filled me with boundless enthusiasm, a project that I truly believed had the power to make a difference. And because it was so deeply personal, so intrinsically linked to who I was and what I believed in, the idea felt sacred. It was my intellectual property, yes, but it was also a piece of my soul. I guarded it carefully, sharing only with those I trusted implicitly, those who I knew would understand its value and support its growth. And at the very top of that list, without a shadow of a doubt, was Sarah. My best friend. My confidant. The person I believed would celebrate my vision as her own triumph, not steal it. The decision to share my nascent business idea with Sarah wasn't a casual one. It was a deliberate act of trust, a testament to the depth of our friendship. I had been working on the concept for months, refining it, researching it, pouring every ounce of my spare time and creative energy into it. It was my secret project, my passion, and I felt a profound sense of protective ownership over it. But as the idea grew, as it began to take a more concrete shape in my mind, the desire to share it with someone, to get feedback, to bounce ideas off a trusted ear, became overwhelming. And who else but Sarah? She was my go-to for everything. She was intelligent, discerning, and always offered thoughtful, constructive criticism. More importantly, she was Sarah, my best friend, my sister, the one person in the world I believed would genuinely be happy for my success, would champion my vision, and would celebrate every milestone with me. I remember the evening vividly. It was a Friday night, our usual pizza and movie ritual. We were sprawled on my living room floor, surrounded by takeout boxes, a half-watched rom-com flickering on the TV. I had been particularly quiet that evening, my mind buzzing with the complexities of my business plan. Sarah, ever perceptive, noticed my distraction. "What's going on in that brilliant head of yours?" she asked, nudging me playfully with her foot. "You've been miles away all night." I hesitated for a moment, a flicker of vulnerability, of fear that my idea might sound silly or unrealistic. But then I looked at her warm, encouraging smile, and the hesitation evaporated. This was Sarah. She would understand. She would support me. "Okay," I began, my voice a little breathless with excitement and anticipation. "I have something big to tell you, something I've been working on for months. It's a business idea." Her eyes lit up. She loved hearing about my creative endeavors, always encouraging me to pursue my passions. I launched into it, a torrent of words spilling out, detailing every aspect of the Zero Waste Starter Kit subscription service. I explained the problem I was trying to solve, the unique tier system, the personalized approach, the vision for building a community. I showed her my preliminary sketches for the logo, the sample product ideas I had researched, even the mock-ups of the educational materials I planned to include. I spoke with a fervor, a passion that I rarely displayed, revealing a part of myself that I usually kept carefully guarded. Sarah listened intently, her expression a mix of genuine interest and thoughtful consideration. She nodded at appropriate moments, her gaze fixed on me, making me feel heard and valued. When I finally finished, taking a much-needed breath, there was a moment of silence. My heart pounded, waiting for her reaction. "Wow," she finally said, her voice soft, almost reverent. That's incredible. Seriously, my name, that's brilliant. Why didn't you tell me sooner?" Relief washed over me, warm and comforting. "I don't know," I admitted, a shy smile spreading across my face. It felt so vulnerable, so big. I wanted to make sure I had a solid plan before I shared it with anyone. She leaned forward, her eyes sparkling. "A solid plan? This isn't just solid. It's genius. The personalization aspect, the educational component, that's what makes it truly stand out. There are so many eco-friendly products out there, but no one's really tackling the overwhelm like this. You've really hit on something." Her words were like music to my ears, validating all the late nights, all the painstaking research, all the doubts I had quietly battled. We spent the rest of the evening talking about it. She asked insightful questions, demonstrating a keen understanding of the market and potential challenges. She offered suggestions, some of which were genuinely helpful, like exploring different shipping options or considering partnership opportunities with local eco-friendly brands. Her enthusiasm felt contagious, her support unwavering. "You have to do this. My name," she urged, her voice filled with conviction. "This is it. This is the big one. I can just feel it. I'll help you in any way I can." Seriously, whatever you need, brainstorming, market research, even just being a sounding board for your crazy ideas. Count me in. I felt a surge of gratitude, a profound sense of connection. This was exactly why I had shared it with her. This was the essence of our friendship. Mutual support, shared dreams, unwavering belief in each other's potential. I felt a renewed sense of purpose, a bolstered confidence, knowing I had her in my corner. "Thank you, Sarah," I said, my voice thick with emotion. "That means the world to me." We even toasted to Project Green Future, as I had tentatively named it, clinking our soda cans together with a promise to change the world, one sustainable box at a time. Little did I know, that night, beneath the guise of friendship and support, the seeds of betrayal were being sown. My trust, so freely given, was about to become her weapon. In the weeks and months that followed that fateful conversation, Sarah's interest in Project Green Future seemed to intensify, which at the time, I interpreted as a sign of genuine friendship and support. Looking back now, through the bitter lens of hindsight, I can see the subtle shifts, the insidious undercurrents, the tiny red flags that I, in my naive trust, completely overlooked. It's like watching a horror movie where the audience screams at the protagonist to not go into the basement, but they do anyway, blinded by their own narrative. I was that protagonist. She began by offering to help more actively. At first, it was innocuous. "Hey, I was thinking about your supplier research," she'd say, "and I found a few potential eco-friendly packaging companies that might be worth looking into. Want me to send you the links?" Of course, I said yes. Any help was appreciated, especially from someone I trusted implicitly. Then it escalated slightly. I was brainstorming some marketing angles for Project Green Future, she'd offer, and I came up with a few taglines. "Want me to write them down for you?" Again, I was grateful. She was being a proactive friend, investing her time and energy into my dream. What could be wrong with that? But slowly, almost imperceptibly, her questions started to become more specific, more probing. It wasn't just general advice anymore. "So, about that tier system," she'd ask, "how exactly are you planning to assess people's current sustainability levels? What questions are you putting in the questionnaire? Or, you mentioned a community platform. What kind of features are you thinking of including? Are you going to integrate a forum or live chat?" I, an open book with my best friend, answered every question honestly and thoroughly. I showed her the draft questionnaire I had meticulously designed, explaining the logic behind each question. I shared my detailed notes on the community platform, including my ideas for moderated forums, expert Q&A sessions, and a points-based reward system for participation. I even shared my preliminary research on potential tech platforms for building the website and managing subscriptions. Nothing felt off at the time. It felt like collaboration, like two friends excitedly building something together, even if only one of us was officially the founder. There were other instances, too. We'd be out for coffee, and she'd steer the conversation inevitably back to Project Green Future. "Have you thought about your pricing model yet? Are you going for a premium feel or more accessible? What about your initial capital? Are you planning to self-fund or seek investors?" She'd listen intently to my answers, sometimes scribbling notes on a napkin, which I simply attributed to her being a diligent friend, trying to keep track of all the details so she could offer better support. Her interest seemed boundless, her enthusiasm unwavering. She would often express how amazed she was by my vision, how proud she was of my dedication. These affirmations, these seemingly heartfelt compliments, only served to further solidify my trust in her. They disarmed any nascent doubts, any fleeting sense of unease that might have otherwise surfaced. One particular memory stands out now, hauntingly clear. I had developed a detailed financial projection spreadsheet, outlining startup costs, projected revenue for the first 3 years, and break-even points. It was complex, involving market research data, supplier quotes, and estimated subscriber acquisition costs. I was struggling with a particular formula and mentioned it to Sarah during one of our calls. "Oh, I'm pretty good with spreadsheets," she offered immediately. "Why don't you send it over? I can take a look and see if I can help you troubleshoot." Without a second thought, I attached the entire, highly confidential document to an email and sent it to her. It contained not just the financial data, but also the specific product lists for each tier, the names of potential suppliers, and even my full marketing plan, including target demographics and unique ad copy ideas. This was the blueprint, the very essence of my business, and I handed it over to her on a silver platter, believing I was simply accepting help from a trusted friend. She returned it a few hours later, with the formula fixed and a quick note saying, "Looks great. You're really on top of things." I felt a profound sense of gratitude, completely oblivious to the fact that she had just gained unfettered access to the deepest, most sensitive layers of my intellectual property. In retrospect, the signs were there, subtle but persistent. Her sudden, intense interest in sustainable living, a topic she had previously been only mildly curious about. Her increasingly specific questions about the operational details, rather than just the broad vision. Her eagerness to help with tasks that bordered on critical business functions. But at the time, I dismissed them all. I rationalized every instance, every peculiar behavior, as further proof of her unwavering friendship, her genuine excitement for my success. After all, who would ever suspect their best friend, their chosen sister, of harboring such insidious envy, such calculated deceit? I was blinded by love, by loyalty, by a trust so absolute it rendered me completely vulnerable. And she, it turns out, was poised to exploit that vulnerability with a cold, calculated precision that still sends shivers down my spine. The incubation period was over. The stage was set for the ultimate betrayal. The discovery was a slow, agonizing burn, not an instant explosion. It began with that sponsored ad, the one that stopped my heart. I remember the exact date, October 17th. I was taking a short break from my regular work, just casually scrolling. When I saw it, the image, the name, the tagline, my stomach lurched. My mind refused to process it. Couldn't be. I clicked on the ad, my fingers trembling, a cold dread seeping into my bones. The website loaded, and my vision blurred. It was called Eco Journey Box. Not my Project Green Future. But the concept was undeniably, sickeningly mine. There, on the homepage, was a detailed explanation of the subscription service. Curated sustainable products delivered monthly. Check. Personalized tier system based on your eco journey. Beginner, intermediate, advanced. Check. I scrolled further. The product selection for the beginner box was almost identical to my own meticulously researched list. Bamboo toothbrush, solid shampoo bar, reusable produce bags. Even the instructional guides they mentioned, explaining how to make simple swaps, mirrored my own educational content strategy. My breath caught in my throat. This wasn't a coincidence. This was a direct, brazen copy. Then I saw the About Us page. And there she was, Sarah. Her smiling face, radiant and confident, beneath a bold heading, Founder and CEO, Sarah Thompson. My best friend. My sister. The person who had shared pizza and dreams with me, who had listened intently to every detail of my vision, who had offered her help with such conviction. She was not only the founder but also the face of this stolen enterprise. The betrayal hit me with the force of a physical blow. It wasn't just the idea. It was her, Sarah. My vision swam. I felt a wave of nausea, a dizzying sense of unreality. My hands shook so violently I had to set my phone down. I stared blankly at the wall, trying to make sense of what I was seeing, trying to reconcile the image of my loyal friend with the stark reality of the thieving entrepreneur before me. It felt like a cruel joke, a nightmare I couldn't wake from. But the glowing testimonials, the professional website, the active social media presence, it was all too real. I remember my body reacting before my mind could fully comprehend. A cold sweat broke out on my skin. My heart hammered against my ribs, a frantic, desperate rhythm. My chest felt tight, as if an invisible vice were squeezing the air from my lungs. I tried to take a deep breath, but it hitched, ragged and shallow. Tears welled up, hot and stinging, blurring the room around me. It wasn't just sadness. It was a potent cocktail of shock, anger, disbelief, and a profound sense of personal violation. It felt like someone had reached inside my chest and ripped out a vital organ. I picked up my phone again, my fingers still trembling, and scrolled through her social media. There were posts celebrating the launch, photos of Sarah beaming, holding up the Eco Journey box, talking about her passion for sustainability and her innovative vision. Every word was a dagger, every image a twist of the knife. People were congratulating her, praising her ingenuity, her entrepreneurial spirit. My friends, our mutual friends, were commenting, offering their support, unaware of the insidious theft that lay beneath the surface. It was a public celebration of my private devastation. I wanted to scream. I wanted to smash my phone. I wanted to curl into a ball and disappear. The pain was unbearable, a sharp, searing agony that pulsed through every nerve ending. How could she, how could Sarah, my Sarah, do this? Had every kind word, every offer of help, every shared dream been a lie? A calculated manipulation to extract information, to gain access to my most vulnerable aspirations? The thought was sickening, corrosive, eating away at the very fabric of my memories with her. I felt a profound sense of foolishness, of utter stupidity. How could I have been so blind, so trusting? All those subtle questions, all those detailed notes she took, all those helpful suggestions, they weren't acts of friendship. They were acts of espionage. She had been meticulously gathering information, piece by piece, building her own version of my dream, right under my unsuspecting nose. And I had practically handed her the blueprint. The self-recrimination was almost as painful as the betrayal itself. The world outside my window seemed to mock me with its indifferent normalcy. Cars drove by, birds sang, people went about their lives, while my own world had just imploded. I tried to call her, my thumb hovering over her contact, but I couldn't. What would I even say? How do you confront someone who has committed such a profound act of treachery? The words felt inadequate, hollow, utterly incapable of conveying the depth of the wound she had inflicted. The betrayal wasn't just about a business idea. It was about the desecration of a sacred bond, the obliteration of a trust that had been the cornerstone of my life for decades. And in that moment, staring at the evidence of her deceit, I knew with a chilling certainty that nothing would ever be the same again. My best friend had stolen my dream, and in doing so, she had stolen a piece of my soul. The immediate aftermath of the discovery was a blur of raw emotion and paralyzing confusion. I didn't confront Sarah immediately. Couldn't. The shock was too profound, the pain too overwhelming. My mind raced, trying to formulate a coherent thought, a plan of action, but it was like trying to catch smoke. All I could feel was a crushing weight of betrayal, a hollow ache in my chest that made it difficult to breathe. I spent the next 24 hours in a state of semi-catatonia, oscillating between tears, numb disbelief, and furious anger. I replayed every conversation, every interaction, every shared moment with Sarah in my head, searching for clues, for signs I had missed, for any explanation that could rationalize this unthinkable act. But there was none. Each memory, once cherished, now felt tainted, poisoned by the venom of her deceit. Finally, after a sleepless night filled with agonizing introspection, I knew I had to face her. I couldn't let this fester. I needed answers even if they were painful. I needed to see her face, to hear her voice, to witness her reaction. So, with a heavy heart and a trembling hand, I texted her. "Sarah, we need to talk. Can you meet me for coffee tomorrow morning?" Her reply came almost instantly. "Sure. Everything okay? You sound a bit off." The casualness of her response, the feigned concern, only fueled the fire of my anger. She was playing innocent. She was acting as if nothing was amiss. It was infuriating. The next morning, I arrived at our usual coffee shop early, my stomach tied in knots. Every sip of my lukewarm coffee felt like ash in my mouth. When Sarah walked in, a bright, cheerful smile on her face, my blood ran cold. She looked perfectly normal, perfectly happy, completely devoid of any guilt or remorse. She greeted me with a warm hug, a gesture that felt like a venomous snake coiling around me. I pulled away quickly, unable to tolerate the physical contact. Her smile faltered slightly. "What's wrong?" she asked, her brow furrowing with a manufactured concern. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my voice, trying to keep the torrent of emotion from completely overwhelming me. "Sarah," I began, my voice trembling despite my best efforts. "I saw your website, Eco Journey Box." The color drained from her face. Her eyes, which moments before had sparkled with feigned innocence, now flickered with a mixture of surprise and panic. The shift was immediate and chilling. The mask had slipped. There was a moment of agonizing silence, thick with unspoken accusations and dawning realization. She opened her mouth, then closed it, searching for words. "Oh," she finally managed, her voice barely a whisper. That, I retorted, my voice rising, the anger finally breaking through the dam of my composure. "Sarah, that is my business idea, my concept, my tier system. You stole it. You stole everything I shared with you." She immediately went on the defensive, her panic morphing into a calculated aggression. "Stole it? What are you talking about? It's not like you had a patent on sustainable living. My name. People have been doing eco-friendly boxes for years." "Not like this," I countered, my voice shaking with indignation. "Not with a personalized tier system, not with the specific educational content, not with the exact product selection I showed you in my spreadsheets. You took my blueprint, Sarah. You took my entire plan, the one I poured my heart and soul into, and you claimed it as your own." Her eyes narrowed, and her voice hardened. "Look, I took your idea, and I actually did something with it. You were just sitting on it, talking about it, never actually launching anything. Ideas are a dime a dozen. Execution is what matters. And I executed. The sheer audacity, the callous disregard for my feelings, for our friendship, for the very concept of integrity, was breathtaking. It was a slap in the face, a brutal confirmation of her complete lack of remorse. "So, all those times you asked for details, all those helpful suggestions, all those hours you spent brainstorming with me, that was all just research for your own theft?" I demanded, tears streaming down my face now, unbidden and unstoppable. "You pretended to be my friend, my supporter, while you were meticulously planning to steal my dream? Don't be so dramatic," she scoffed, her voice laced with disdain. "I got inspired by our conversations, yes, and I saw an opportunity. You were too slow, too hesitant. Someone was going to do it eventually. Why not me?" Her words were like shards of glass, tearing at my already fragile heart. The coldness, the utter lack of empathy, the blatant self-justification. It was a side of Sarah I had never seen, a monstrous manifestation of envy and greed that was utterly alien to the person I thought I knew. I stared at her, truly seeing her for the first time, and realized that the Sarah I had loved, the Sarah who was my best friend, had never truly existed. Or perhaps she had, but she had been consumed by a darker, more opportunistic entity. "So, that's it," I whispered, my voice raw with pain. "Decades of friendship, all the trust, all the shared history. It means nothing to you? Less than a business idea you stole." She shrugged, a dismissive gesture that sealed the coffin of our friendship. "It's business. My name. Nothing personal. Nothing personal." Those two words echoed in my mind, mocking the very foundation of our relationship. It was all personal. It was the most personal betrayal imaginable. I stood up, my chair scraping loudly against the floor, drawing curious glances from other patrons. I didn't care. I couldn't stay there another second, breathing the same air as this stranger, this thief, who had so deftly dismantled my world. "This isn't business, Sarah," I said, my voice clear and firm despite the tears. "This is betrayal, and I want nothing more to do with you." I turned and walked out, leaving her sitting there, surrounded by the wreckage of a friendship she had so casually destroyed. The confrontation was over, but the fallout, the devastating, life-altering consequences, had only just begun. The pain of her words, the chilling glimpse into her true character, would haunt me for years to come, a constant reminder of the fragility of trust and the destructive power of envy. The days, weeks, and months following the confrontation with Sarah were a desolate wasteland of emotional pain and practical struggle. It felt like walking through a fog, every step heavy, every thought clouded by the crushing weight of betrayal. The initial shock had given way to a deep, pervasive sadness, interspersed with furious bursts of anger and a gnawing sense of emptiness. My heart ached constantly, a phantom limb pain for a friendship that had been brutally amputated. The immediate impact on my mental health was devastating. Couldn't sleep. My mind raced endlessly, replaying every conversation, every interaction, searching for clues, for moments where I should have seen the truth. I lost my appetite, food tasting like sawdust in my mouth. My energy levels plummeted, and even simple tasks felt insurmountable. I felt a profound sense of humiliation, of foolishness. How could I have been so blind, so trusting? How could I have so completely misjudged the character of someone I had loved like a sister? The self-recrimination was relentless, adding another layer of torment to the already unbearable pain. Beyond the personal anguish, there was the agonizing reality of the stolen business idea. Project Green Future, my meticulously crafted vision, was now Eco Journey Box, successfully launched and growing, all thanks to Sarah's brazen theft. I felt robbed, not just of an idea, but of my future, my entrepreneurial dream, my chance to make a tangible impact on something I deeply cared about. The injustice was infuriating. I had poured my heart and soul into that concept, countless hours of research, planning, and creative development, only for someone else to reap the rewards. I considered legal action, desperately wanting to fight back, to reclaim what was rightfully mine. I consulted with a lawyer, explaining the situation, detailing how I had shared my idea with Sarah, the specific elements she had copied, the detailed documents I had sent her. The lawyer listened patiently, but his advice, while practical, was disheartening. Intellectual property law, especially for concepts that aren't patented or trademarked yet, can be incredibly difficult to prove, he explained. You have evidence of sharing, yes, but proving direct theft of an idea before launch, without formal agreements or non-disclosure clauses, is a complex and often expensive battle. She'll claim independent development, that she was inspired by general conversations, or that she simply executed on a common concept. Without a clear paper trail of her intent to steal or a patent, it's an uphill battle. It could drag on for years, cost you tens of thousands, and still not guarantee a favorable outcome. The thought of fighting a protracted legal battle, especially against someone who was once my closest friend, filled me with dread. The emotional toll alone would be immense, let alone the financial burden. I was already emotionally shattered. Could I really endure years of litigation, constantly reliving the betrayal, facing her in court? The prospect was daunting, almost as soul-crushing as the betrayal itself. I felt trapped, powerless. The legal system, designed to protect, felt like another barrier, another source of frustration. The situation also affected my social circle. Sarah and I shared many mutual friends, people we had known since childhood, people whose lives were intertwined with ours. The news of our fallout, though vague in its initial public explanation, began to spread. I wasn't ready to openly declare to everyone that she had stolen my business idea. The shame, the vulnerability, the fear of judgment kept me silent for a while. But the silence was heavy. Some friends, sensing the tension, took sides. Others tried to remain neutral, caught in the uncomfortable middle. It created awkwardness, strained relationships, and ultimately, a further sense of isolation for me. I felt like I had to constantly explain myself, or worse, avoid situations where Sarah might be present. The social landscape of my life, once so vibrant and interconnected, became a minefield. I found myself withdrawing, retreating into myself. I stopped attending social gatherings, fearing bumping into her or having to explain the situation repeatedly. The joy I once found in shared experiences, in laughter and camaraderie, felt distant, almost alien. Every conversation felt like a performance, a struggle to appear normal when inside, I was crumbling. My existing friendship suffered, not because of ill will, but because I simply didn't have the emotional capacity to engage. I was consumed by my grief, by my anger, by the raw wound of betrayal. There were moments, particularly in the dead of night, when the anger would consume me. I would imagine confronting her again, unleashing a torrent of accusations, making her feel even a fraction of the pain she had inflicted upon me. I pictured myself disrupting her business, exposing her to the world, tearing down the empire she had built on my stolen dreams. But these fantasies, while momentarily satisfying, were ultimately exhausting and empty. They did nothing to alleviate the actual pain, only deepened the bitterness. The struggle was not just external, it was internal. I wrestled with questions of identity. If my best friend could betray me so profoundly, what did that say about my judgment? About my ability to trust? About my own inherent worth? The experience left me feeling exposed, vulnerable, and deeply skeptical of others' intentions. It chipped away at my optimism, replacing it with a cynical edge that I struggled to shake. The world, once a place of opportunity and connection, now seemed fraught with hidden dangers, with people waiting to exploit kindness and trust. Rebuilding felt impossible. The sheer enormity of starting over, of trying to conjure another business idea, another dream, knowing the risk of betrayal, felt too heavy a burden. The creative spark, once so vibrant, felt extinguished, buried under layers of hurt and resentment. How could I trust myself again, let alone others, with another vulnerable dream? The emotional and practical struggle was immense. A dark period in my life where every day felt like an uphill battle against an invisible enemy, an enemy that had once worn the face of my dearest friend. The aftermath of her betrayal was not just the loss of an idea. It was the loss of innocence, the loss of trust, and a profound, agonizing reevaluation of everything I thought I knew about friendship and human nature. The road to healing after such a profound betrayal is long, winding, and incredibly arduous. It wasn't a sudden epiphany or a quick fix. It was a slow, painful process of grieving, introspection, and ultimately, rebuilding. For a long time, I was stuck in the mire of anger and resentment. Every time I saw an ad for Eco Journey Box or heard Sarah's name, a fresh wave of pain would wash over me. I fantasized about revenge, about exposing her, about somehow reclaiming what was mine. But these fantasies, while momentarily gratifying, always left me feeling emptier, more exhausted, and further away from any sense of peace. I realized that holding onto that bitterness was only hurting me, not her. She was out there, seemingly thriving, while I was consumed by the very poison she had inflicted. The first step, and arguably the most difficult, was to acknowledge the depth of the loss. It wasn't just a business idea. It was the loss of a friendship that had defined my life, the loss of trust, and the loss of a certain innocence about human nature. I allowed myself to grieve, to feel the pain without judgment. I cried. I screamed into pillows. I journaled obsessively, pouring out every raw, unfiltered emotion onto the page. This cathartic release, though painful, was necessary. It was a way of processing the trauma, of slowly, meticulously, untangling the knot of emotions that had suffocated me. I also sought professional help. Therapy became a safe space where I could articulate my feelings, explore the roots of my pain, and develop coping mechanisms. My therapist helped me understand that my trust wasn't foolish. It was a testament to my own capacity for connection and loyalty. The betrayal reflected on Sarah's character, not mine. This reframing was crucial. It began to chip away at the self-recrimination and the pervasive sense of being foolish. I learned that it's not a weakness to trust. It's a strength, and that while some people will abuse that trust, it doesn't mean trust itself is inherently flawed. Slowly, gradually, I started to reclaim my life. I forced myself to reconnect with other friends, explaining, in broad terms, that Sarah and I had had a major falling out, without delving into the excruciating details of the business theft. I found solace in their support, in the genuine care and understanding they offered. These were the friends who truly valued me, who stood by me, and whose loyalty was never in question. Their presence was a balm to my wounded soul, a reminder that not everyone was like Sarah. I also returned to my passion for sustainable living, but with a different approach. The idea of launching another similar business felt too tainted, too painful. Instead, I started a blog, a personal platform where I could share my knowledge, my tips, and my experiences without the pressure of commercialization. It was a creative outlet, a way to channel my passion into something positive, something that felt authentic to me, without the fear of theft or competition. It was a small step, but it was a step forward, a way to rebuild my confidence and rediscover my own unique voice. The concept of forgiveness, particularly forgiving Sarah, was a contentious one. For a long time, I resisted it. How could I forgive someone who had so deliberately and cruelly betrayed me? But my therapist helped me understand that forgiveness isn't about condoning the act or even reconciling with the person. It's about releasing myself from the prison of bitterness and resentment. It's about letting go of the anger that was consuming me. It's about finding peace within myself, regardless of whether Sarah ever acknowledged her wrongdoing or sought my forgiveness. I haven't forgiven Sarah in the sense of inviting her back into my life or forgetting what she did. That wound is too deep. But I have forgiven her in the sense that I no longer allow her actions to control my emotions or dictate my happiness. I've accepted that what happened, happened. I've accepted that she is who she is, and that her actions speak volumes about her, not about me. The lessons learned from this excruciating experience are profound and have reshaped my perspective on life, on relationships, and on my own resilience. Firstly, trust, once broken, is incredibly difficult, if not impossible, to fully restore. While I've learned to trust again, particularly with new relationships, there's an inherent caution now, a healthy skepticism that wasn't there before. I'm more discerning about who I share my vulnerabilities and my big ideas with. I understand that not everyone operates with the same moral compass, and that even the closest of bonds can be corroded by envy and greed. Secondly, protecting your intellectual property, even in its nascent stages, is paramount. I learned the hard way that even with friends, it's wise to have clear boundaries and, for serious business ideas, formal non-disclosure agreements. It feels cold and impersonal to do so with a best friend, but the alternative is far more devastating. I now understand the importance of documenting everything, of seeking legal advice early, and of safeguarding my creative work. Thirdly, the power of self-worth and resilience. This betrayal shattered me, but it also forced me to confront my own strength. I learned that I could survive something so devastating, that I could pick up the pieces and rebuild. It taught me the importance of relying on my own inner resources, of validating my own worth, rather than seeking it from external sources or from the approval of others. My identity was not defined by Sarah's betrayal, nor by the stolen idea, but by my ability to heal, to adapt, and to move forward. Fourthly, the true nature of friendship. This experience brutally highlighted the difference between genuine, unconditional friendship and opportunistic, conditional alliances. It taught me to value the friends who remained, who offered unwavering support without judgment, and to recognize the red flags of those who might harbor envy or deceit. It refined my understanding of what true loyalty looks like, and how precious and rare it truly is. Finally, the importance of letting go of bitterness. Holding on to anger and resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. It's a self-destructive path that only prolongs your own pain. While the scars remain, and the memory of what happened will never fade, I've chosen to release the bitterness. I've chosen to focus on my own healing, on building a new future, and on channeling my energy into positive endeavors. This doesn't mean forgetting, but it means moving past the consuming rage into a space of quiet acceptance and forward momentum. In conclusion, the story of how my best friend stole my business idea and claimed it as her own is a deeply personal and agonizing tale of betrayal, envy, and the shattering of trust. It was a painful education in human nature, a brutal awakening to the dark potential that can lie dormant even within those we hold dearest. It cost me a friendship, a dream, and a significant piece of my peace of mind for a long time. But it also forced me to look inward, to find strength I didn't know I possessed, and to ultimately redefine what true resilience and self-worth mean to me. The scars are permanent, a constant reminder of a profound wound, but they are also a testament to my survival, to my capacity for healing, and to the invaluable, albeit painful, lessons I have learned. I may have lost an idea and a friend, but I gained an invaluable understanding of myself, of others, and of the enduring power of the human spirit to overcome even the most devastating betrayals. If you've listened to this story and found yourself nodding along, perhaps because you've experienced your own forms of betrayal or struggle, I want you to know you're not alone. These stories are a testament to the complex tapestry of human relationships, both the beautiful and the heartbreaking. If this story resonated with you, and you appreciate hearing these raw, honest accounts of life's most challenging moments, please consider subscribing to this channel. Your support helps us continue to share these powerful narratives and build a community where we can all learn and grow together. Thank you for listening.